We got the T-land, the flat one, that we have to be sure that we have no chipping impact damage at the end.
So you've got a nice sharp insert edge, up to 4 millimeters in from the insert edge, but then there's T-line starts, and you've got a much flatter corner, much flatter edge, which means you've got higher cutting forces. Normally people want to just go, I'm still machining steel, I reach for this thing, I don't have to worry about it. Why have you split into two different grades?
Our previous grade was YBC 152 and YB 6315, and what we can see that we need also for the right range of application, we need one tougher grade and one for higher productivity, and this is the reason why we take the next generation grade.
I'm at the ZCC stand here. We're here at Mac 2022. Now, I've never heard of ZCC until this Mac, so I'm actually really excited to find out about what every good cutting tool provider does is a good P-grade insert. Now, Sandro, what are we going to talk about today?
Yeah, we want to talk about the new grade YBC 103 and 203. Most common application in the turning grade, especially for the P materials. And I will a little bit explain how to work with this kind of grade. YBC is 103 is more for the productivity way, and YBC 203 is more for the reliability one.
So you've just summed up basically the two different grades that you offer for steel machining. Now, previously you offered only one grade. Now, how come you split off into two main grades? Normally people want to just go, I'm still machining steel, I reach for this thing, I don't have to worry about it. Why have you split into two different grades?
Our previous grade was YBC 152 and YB 6315, and what we can see that we need also for the right range of application, we need one tougher grade and one for higher productivity, and this is the reason why we take the next generation grade, YBC 103 and 203.
So what are the applications of these different grades?
Yeah, you always have to focus on the application. So we have different types of what you are looking for. You have to look if you are looking for a straight cut or interrupted cut, and how are the depths of cut and the feed rates is always important. And if you know this kind of applications, you can choose the right grade.
Brilliant. So interrupted cuts, I guess you need you said you need the tougher grades to deal with those difficult cutting conditions. But if you're in a nice condition, you want to make sure you get the best out of your insert and save money on the inserts. So Sandro, what would be your first choice if you had an interrupted cut?
Interrupted cut, I want to go with the YBC 203 because here we have an excellent balance between toughness and wear resistant. And you have also to focus on the feed rate. But when you had a good combination between the chip breaker and the grades, YBC 203 with XM chip breaker will be the first choice.
Okay, so obviously when you're in an interrupted cut, you almost kind of don't need a chip breaker because those chips are breaking anyway. But the chip breaker is critical if you're machining a nice big straight diameter and it's swirling off all over the place. You definitely need a good chip breaker. Now let's move on to the two chip breakers we're going to be talking about today. What are they?
Traveling with chip breaker is a good comment because we changed a little bit on our XM chipper. We got a reinforced cutting edge to be sure that we get not problems with the chip hammering or chip impact. Chip impact damage, and the T-length is quite important in this case for the chip impact damage.
What do you mean by the T-length?
The T-length is when we look on a CNMG, after 4 millimeters, we got the reinforced T-length, and it will protect our cutting edges at the end. Yeah.
Okay, so the T-line is that flat bit on the middle of the tube, it's in between the two cutting sides of the insert.
So when we're looking on the first part of the cutting edge, we have a quite positive rake angle. That means for us we have optimum soft cutting forces, and the chip control is much easier. We don't build up too much temperature. But after the 4 millimeters in the medium application, it doesn't matter for us at the end. We got the T-length, the flat one, that we have to be sure that we have no chipping impact damage at the end.
So you've got a nice sharp insert edge, up to 4 millimeters in from the insert edge, but then there's T-line starts, and you've got a much flatter corner, much flatter edge, which means you've got higher cutting forces. Do you ever have a problem when do you ever recommend for people to go deeper depth of cut than the 4 mil and they end up cutting on the T-line?
When we look on the common medium application, then we start from 1 millimeter up to 3 or 5, maximum 4 millimeter. On the other hand, when we go higher with the depth of cut and feed rate, we want to change to a roughing application.
That's where you've got a sharper edge all the way down, because you might be taking 14 mil depths of cut aside on a big lathe, but this is for the slightly smaller lathe.
Common application for this kind of chip breaker. Then we have to change to another one, definitely.
No, this is for the 4 millimeters depth of cuts maximum. Okay, fair enough, fantastic. And what's the difference between the XF and the XM chip breakers?
Here we have a great overlapping application. XF will be for the finishing application. Then we start from 0.5 up to 3.5 millimeters when we look on the CNMG. Then we got the overlapping with the XM. They start at 1 millimeter up to 4 millimeter. And then we have a great balance or great opportunity if XF not working because we have interrupted cuts, too much feed rates, then we can change to the XM chip breaker. And then we gave everyone a great opportunity to find the perfect solution for his application.
That's brilliant. So I've learned a lot about P-grade inserts today. Thank you so much. So you've got loads of different grades, I assume, not just the YBC 103 and 203s, loads of different chip breakers as well. We've not got the time to talk about everything, unfortunately. I hope you guys have learned a little bit about cutting tool inserts, because I certainly have. Thank you very much, Sandro. Appreciate it.